every NBA playoff team's biggest X factor, Eastern Conference Edition. The dictionary defines X factor as a noteworthy or special talent or a variable that could have the biggest impact on a certain situation and the outcome. So I'm going to be focusing on players who can really change a team's fate going into Orlando. With that being said, let's get right into it. Starting off with the 9th seed in the East, the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are the 9th seed in the East and are 5.5 games back of the 8th seed Magic, so it's unlikely that they make the playoffs. That being said, I think their biggest X factor is power forward Davis Bertans. Bertans is averaging 15.4 points, 1.7 assists, and 4.5 rebounds, and is a key piece to the Wizards' offense. Bertans' contract expires at the end of the season, so the Wizards should try and keep him, as he is an elite three-point shooter, shooting 42% on almost 9 attempts a game. Bertans is unlikely to go on to Orlando, as he is in line for a big contract and does not want to get injured, but it's important for the Wizards to keep him going forwards. Moving on to the 9th seed Orlando Magic. The Magic are an interesting team as they did not have an all-star this year, but were still good enough to make the playoffs. This year, the Magic will probably end up losing to the Bucks or Raptors in the first round. But if they want to have any chance, they're going to need something special. And someone who is special is Markelle Fultz. On the season, Fultz is averaging 12, 3, and 5 on below average efficiency, but has shown glimpses of promise, including a 25-point performance against the Nets and a 21-point triple-double in a standout win against the Lakers. He will have to play well if the Magic have any chance of getting out of the first round. Next up are the 7-seeded Brooklyn Nets. Like the Magic, the Nets will probably be facing a first-round exit without stars Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, who are both sitting out. For their time in Orlando, I'd say their X factor will be shooting guard Caris LeVert. LeVert is averaging about 18, 4, and 4 this season, despite a leg injury. Without the Nets' two main stars, this is a great opportunity for LeVert to prove himself as a worthy third star for next season when they look to win a championship. He has already had a 49-point performance against the Celtics this year and could explode again and lead the Nets to a few wins in Orlando. Now we take a step up to the more serious contenders in the East with the Philadelphia 76ers. Tied with the Pacers for the 6th seed in the East, the 76ers are a team with a lot of potential, led by Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. This season, though, it just hasn't worked out due to their lack of three-point shooting, injuries, and the team just not playing up to its potential. Their X factor is center Joel Embiid. When Embiid is on his game, the 76ers are one of the best defensive teams in the NBA and a championship contender. But without Embiid at the top of his game, the Sixers look like a likely first-round exit. This season, Embiid is averaging 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists, along with 1.3 blocks per game. Disappointing considering he was some people's pick for MVP. But if Joel Embiid can play to his full potential in Orlando and the Sixers players hit their shots, then the Sixers can make a serious playoff run. With his high ceiling and importance to the team, Joel Embiid is the 76ers X factor for their time in Orlando. Next are the Indiana Pacers. Tied with the Sixers with a 39-26 record, the Indiana Pacers are likely to be the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. This season, they have been carried by the inside scoring and rebounding of Domantas Sabonis and the playmaking of new acquisition Malcolm Brogdon, as well as their solid bench and excellent coaching. But their X factor is their best player when healthy, two-time All-Star Victor Oladipo. Oladipo was out injured for the majority of this season, playing only 13 games and averaging 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. A far cry from the 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists along with 2.5 steals a game that he averaged 2 years ago when he is named to the All-NBA third team, along with the NBA All-Defense first team, and won Most Improved Player. But if Victor Oladipo can return to producing like that for the Pacers could definitely win a series in the Eastern Conference. Moving on to the Miami Heat, the Heat are currently the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, 2.5 games back of the 3 seed Celtics, but only 2 games ahead of the Pacers and Sixers. Even with their tough schedule, they should be able to keep the 4 seed. The Heat surprised everyone this season with the great leadership of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo becoming an All-Star, and the emergence of several young players like Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, and Duncan Robinson. But their X factor is their marquee free agency signing and All-Star Jimmy Butler. This season, Jimmy Butler has been averaging 20 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6 assists, while also being a great defender, averaging 1.7 steals and half a block a game. But for the most of the game, he has been deferring to other guys on the team. Jimmy has also only shot 24.8% from 3 this season, the worst since his rookie season. If Jimmy Butler can start hitting his threes and take over in the playoffs, like we know he can, then the Miami Heat can make a really deep playoff run. We now move on to the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are currently the 3 seed, a full 3 games back of the Toronto Raptors, but they have a much easier schedule in the remaining 8 games. The story of the season for the Celtics so far has been the development of Jason Tatum, who averaged 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists post-All-Star game, the best numbers of his career by far. On the other hand, the explosive Kemba Walker took a step back post-All-Star to allow Jason Tatum to thrive, but I still have the Celtics' X factor as Kemba Walker. This year, Kemba Walker is averaging 21 points per game, down from last year with the Hornets, which is understandable given he is no longer the only option. Where his performance has really dipped is post-All-Star game, where he's averaging less than 15 points on 30% shooting from the field and 25% shooting from 3. Post-All-Star, Kemba's assists and steals are also down while his turnovers are up. Kemba Walker is an older player on a very young team, so he'll have to turn it up for the Celtics in the postseason if they want to win a title. Next, the Toronto Raptors. The defending champion Toronto Raptors currently have a record of 46-18 and should look to keep the 2nd seed as they are only 3 games ahead of the Celtics and have a tough remaining schedule. This season for the Raptors has seen Pascal Siakam become a number 1 option as his points per game has increased from 17 to 23.5. His assists and rebounds have also increased as he was named to the All-Star game. Also, with the newfound confidence of becoming an NBA champion, Kyle Lowry has increased his production to nearly 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists, as he extended his All-Star streak to 6. Another player who has stepped up in games this season is Fred VanVleet, who went from averaging 11 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 5 assists to 17.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. He has also increased his steals from 1 to 2. For me, the Raptors' X factor is shooting guard Norman Powell. This season, Powell is averaging 16.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 1.8 assists on 50, 39.8, 84 shooting splits. Powell usually comes off the bench for the Raptors, but with all the injuries that the Raptors have had this season, Powell has had to start 23 games this season. Powell is a player that can have huge performances, like when he won Eastern Conference Player of the Week, averaging 31.3 points on 56% shooting. If Powell can have a few big games like that, He can really help the Raptors as they try and retain their title. Finally, we have the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. Heading to Orlando, the Milwaukee Bucks are comfortably the number 1 seed, so they have the luxury of using the 8 games either to prepare or rest. Last season, the Bucks were also the number 1 seed and cruised through the first 2 rounds and took the first 2 games in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Raptors. Then the Raptors put Kawhi on Giannis. Giannis was shut down and the Bucks shooters went ice cold as the Raptors went on to win the NBA championship, and the Bucks went home with a sour taste in their mouths. This year, the Bucks are an impressive 53-12, and Giannis is likely to win his second MVP. But the question remains the same: can the Bucks win the NBA championship? Giannis can't do it alone, so he'll need some help from the Bucks' second option, Chris Middleton, who is my pick for the Bucks' X Factor. Last season, in the Eastern Conference Finals, Chris Middleton averaged less than 14 points per game on 41% shooting. This season, Middleton has stepped his game up, averaging 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on almost 50-40-90 efficiency. He was also named to the All-Star game for the second year in a row. He also posted a career high in points this season, scoring 51 points versus the Wizards. If the Bucks want to win a championship, then Chris Middleton and the rest of the Bucks supporting cast will have to play much better than they did in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Toronto Raptors.